It's almost Easter. I'm eating some treats. I've been piled them up all day, deciding to wait. And now it's scarf down time. But Daddy does cards. So enjoy this opening. It's gonna be fun. Good morning, Magic players and card collectors of all kinds. Welcome back to the channel. It is Saturday. I've been giving this a lot of thought, and I can't for the life of me come up with a name for Saturdays. And since everything's going to be random, where I'm just going to do whatever I feel like on a Saturday, there's no real point in coming up with a special category for it, like I am for Super Deck Sundays. So instead, this will just be whatever I feel like it is. And we're just gonna, enjoy a random thing on Saturdays, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it too. At least that way, I don't have to stress over coming up with a cool name for it or whatever, and then being disappointed when the name isn't something that catches or whatever. And I mean, honestly, I think it loses its randomness if I actually name it. So, yeah. Today, as you well know, because you guys are awesome and you've been checking out my content and you saw my post, we are opening the Bloomburrow Commander deck Scrolled Away. I have been waiting a long time to get my hands on this thing. I was hoping to have gotten it way back when we started Bloomburrow, but I didn't have the cash for it at the time. Recently I was hoping to get it actually at a really good price. I'm gonna give a shout out to the guys anyways over there because they're amazing. Got Item Games. If you are in the Nova Scotia area, definitely check them out. They are probably one of the coolest LGSs out there. And yeah, actually one of the guys over at that cool LGS is responsible for giving me this awesome little package that we're opening on Monday. Don't forget to come in on Monday and get that extra video to find out what's in the secret envelope. In the meantime, Bloomburrow is by far one of my most absolute favorite sets, if not my absolute favorite set. It was definitely my set of 2024. And yeah, so I'm just going to add this to my other collection of Bloomburrow videos. It's a little late, but that's okay. And we're going to be super happy with this. There are a few cards in the deck that I'm going to be definitely swapping out. And I definitely am hoping to, at some point, find and obtain a copy of the Squirrel Liliana. That is what I really want. It would be amazing if I pulled that in the bonus pack, but I kind of doubt I'm going to. I looked ahead because I was eager to see, and I'm unfortunately a little disappointed to say that it's not the Liliana that you get in the Commander deck. I definitely thought it would be. That is the only thing that I'm actually disappointed about, though, in this deck. I know, in terms of scrolls, it doesn't have as many scrolls as everybody thought it was going to have. And a lot of people are really upset about that. But I'm actually impressed with how well this deck runs in terms of a token engine. And I do have a bunch of extra scrolls that I am going to probably put in for other cards. So I'm not too upset about that per se. But let's dive into this Commander deck. And quick show off of the box, actually. Ooh. I do actually love the artwork on the box. And this is the other Commander deck I really wanted to get, so I will not delay it any longer. Let's check out Hazel of the Root Bloom. Pay 2 life, tap X untap tokens you control. You get add X mana of any combination of colors. And then, at the beginning of your end step, you create a token that's a copy of a target token you control, and if that token is a squirrel, you get 2 squirrels for the price of 1 squirrel. So that's pretty solid. The odd Acorn Gang is the other flash card, potential commander. To be honest, this isn't what would be my first choice, but I do definitely love this card. Menace, Trample, Reach. Squirrels you control have tap. Target squirrel gets +2/+2 and gains trample until end of turn. So you use one squirrel to give that ability to other squirrels, and it's just kind of a crazy thing. And whenever one or more squirrels you control deal combat damage to a player, you get to draw a card, which is nice. As I say, I was disappointed in the Garruk. I am happy that it's a holo though, but I was disappointed that it's a Garruk and not a Liliana. But it also makes sense why it is what it is. Liliana being just straight up black and Garruk being black green. I definitely get that, and I definitely love the artwork on it. I'm definitely not opposed to it. The thing that makes no sense to me is you make wolves instead of getting to make squirrels, though. That's the only downside. But you also get to destroy target creature and draw a card, or you get an emblem with creatures you control get +3/+3 and have trample, which it's hard to argue against that. If you build a crazy large army of squirrels and you give them all 3/3 and trample, that's a lot of damage that those little acorn munchers are going to give you. Alright, continuing on. We got a Chittering Witch. As it enters, you create a number of black rat creature tokens equal to the number of opponents you have. And then you can sacrifice a creature, and target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. That's probably one of the cards I'm going to drop, to be honest, because I definitely want to build a rats deck eventually, and I definitely need one of those for that deck. Insatiable Frugivore? A rat berserker. When it enters the battlefield, create a food token, then you may exile 3 cards from your graveyard. If you do, repeat this process. Pay 3 and a black, sacrifice X foods, and creatures you control get +X/+O and menace until end of turn. Pretty powerful. We got a Bat Warlock. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you get a blood token. Nice. Flying 4/4 for 5. Dece. And whenever you sacrifice an artifact, you put a +1/+. Ooh. That I like. That's definitely staying in this deck. Swarm Massacre. Create 2 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens. And then each creature that isn't an insect, rat, spider, or squirrel gets -1/-1 until end of turn for each creature you control that is an insect, rat, spider, or squirrel. Nice. Too bad bats aren't included, because we have that sweet bat over here. But oh well. It does get big, so maybe it'll survive the massacre. Hazel's Brewmaster. Menace. Whenever this thing enters or attacks, exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard and create a food token. Ooh, you get to choose a different graveyard. I like that better than the one over here where you have to exile the cards from your graveyard. Yeah. I definitely like it when you can target your opponent's graveyards instead of your own to do the exiling. And then foods you control have all activated abilities of all creature cards exiled with this thing. That's insane. Okay. Woe Strider, that's probably another one I might drop. Just get a goat, sacrifice a creature, and you get to scry 1. Not the biggest fan of that card. Saw in Half is an amazing card that a lot of people are after. I understand why after I really looked into it. It's pretty cool. Destroy target creature. If that creature dies this way, you get to create 2 tokens that are copies of it, but they have half the power of the original creature. And toughness. Ogre Slumlord is an amazing card. I do love that guy. He's in one of my decks. I think it's my sacrifice deck. I might have to move him out to get something else going. But another card for a rats deck. I would love to build rats. That said, I might just keep as many of the rat cards in here anyways, since there's a lot of synergy with rats. Decree of Pain. Destroy all creatures. They can't be regenerated. Just draw a card for each creature destroyed. You can also cycle this. And if you do, all creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn instead. Costs 8 to play, but nice. This deck is thick. Hard to hold it in my hand today. Gorman's Talent. During your turn, artifacts you control are foods in addition to their other types. Okay. And you can sacrifice this artifact to gain 3 life. Nice. Whenever you gain life For the rest, for the first time each turn, create a 3/3 green raccoon creature token. Whenever you gain life for the first time each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Damn. That last ability is pretty kick-ass. That first ability is pretty kick-ass, too. Rootcast Apprenticeship. Choose 3. You can choose the same mode more than once. You can put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature. Create a token that's a copy of target token you control. Target player gets a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. Or target opponent sacrifices a non-token artifact. Ooh, cool. Scurry of Squirrels, Myriad. Nice. So whenever this thing attacks, you actually get to do Myriad twice. So whoever you attack with it only gets attacked once. But 2 copies are going to go against each of the other opponents, which is pretty cool. And whenever this thing deals combat damage to a player, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. So basically try and put all the counters onto the original one is what I would probably do. Because I believe the tokens at the end of Myriad get destroyed. Yeah, exile them at the end of combat. End raise Forerunners. Vigilance, Trample, Haste. That's pretty solid. When it enters, other creatures you control get +2/+2, and you get Vigilance and Trample into... Ooh, damn, that's like a win-con card. 7/7 for 8, but damn. Oh, it does have Haste too. Yeah, it's definitely a win-con card. Arasta the Endless Web. Reach. Whenever an opponent casts an instant or sorcery spell, you get to create a green spider. Ooh, nice. Deep Forest Hermit. Elf Druid. Vanishing 3. When it enters, you put 3 time counters on it, and then when the last time counter is removed, you sacrifice it? That sucks. When it enters, create 4 green squirrel creature tokens. That's decent, but you have to proliferate this thing to keep it around for the extra bonus. Or flicker it. Toski, Bearer of Secrets. Can't be countered, indestructible. When it attacks each combat if able. And whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. The only downside is, if it had Vigilance, then it could actually defend too, but still, Squirrel. I like it. Beastmaster Ascension. Whenever a creature you control attacks, you may put a quest counter on this thing. As long as this thing has 7 or more quest counters on it, creatures can get +5/+5. Second Harvest is an insane card. I got a copy of that the other day. I can't remember where. But, yeah, an absolutely insane card. Shamanic Revelation. Draw a card for each creature you control. Gain 4 life for each creature you control with power 4 or greater. Ooh. Nice. That's the one I want to put in as the commander, probably, if I don't use Hazel. That would definitely be my backup. Chatterfang is pretty cool. Definitely awesome with Forest Walk. I definitely need to get a Yamivaya Cradle of thing to put in this deck, probably, too. If one or more tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus that many squirrel tokens are created instead. And you can sacrifice X squirrels to give target creature +X/-X until end of turn. The second part I don't really like the idea of, but that first part is pretty kick-ass. Casualties of War. Destroy target artifact, target creature, target enchantment, target land, target planeswalker. Choose one or more. Nice. That way it doesn't miss, or whiff, per se. Windgrace's Judgment. For any number of opponents, destroy target non-land permanent that player controls. Ooh. A little expensive, but worth it. Maskwood Nexus. Creatures you control are every creature type. Oh, damn. That just cinched why you put all the rats and stuff in here. That's insane. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. Whew. Okay, I was going to put in an Academy Manufacturer in this deck, but I apparently don't need to. We got some good lands here. Nice. If you have a Swamp or Forest, that comes in untapped. Ooh, you can tap this one to put a +1/+1 counter on each green creature that entered. Damn! That's pretty solid. That's a quick way to beef up all your squirrels as they come in. Swarm Yard. You can tap it to regenerate a creature? Nice. And you don't have to destroy the land. Even better. Exotic Orchard. I love the artwork on the Exotic Orchard in this set. You can draw a card with that one, but you have to sacrifice a creature. Ooh, you get a Gilded Goose in this deck. Nice. Chitter Spitter. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may sacrifice a token. If you do, put an acorn counter on Chitter Spitter. Squirrels you control get +1/+1 counter for each acorn counter on Chitter Spitter. You can also pay a green and tap this to create a green squirrel token. This is crazy. So this thing just gives you the squirrel, then you sacrifice the squirrel, put a counter on this thing, then you get the squirrel, then you sacrifice the squirrel, and you just beef up all your squirrel army. Nice. I like it. Maelstrom Pulse. Destroy target non-land permanent and all other permanents with the same name as that permanent. That's one of those cards that seems really misplaced in Commander. The only way that's really useful is if somebody's playing either one of those decks that lets you play just an insane number of the same card, or it's useful for destroying tokens, I suppose. Ooh, Elder Dragon. Nice. Flying, 4/4. At the beginning of each upkeep, you create a black... Oh, nice. I love pests. You can pay 10 life, untap all lands you control, but you can only do that once per turn. Damn! Damn! Maybe just run that as the creature for the commander. Because that thing's definitely getting killed as soon as it comes out. There's no way that you're getting to keep that. Idol of Oblivion is awesome. Ooh, Sword of the Squeak. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each creature you control with base power or toughness. Oh my god. And then you can attach this thing to a squirrel or a rat when it comes into play. You don't have any hamsters or mice in this deck, I don't think, but that's definitely good. Morbid Opportunist. Whenever one or more creatures die, each draw a card, but you can only get that once per turn. That I might pull. Playcrafter. When this thing enters, each player sacrifices a creature or a planeswalker. Each player who can't discards a card. That I like. Nadir's Nightblade will definitely stay in because when a token leaves the battlefield, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. That's way too valuable. Plumb the Forbidden. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may sacrifice one or more creatures. When you do, copy the spell for each creature. You draw a card and you basically can deck yourself out by playing this thing if you have enough creatures in play. Or definitely drain the rest of your life. Either way, I don't really see that being super useful unless you're really down and you need to get cards. When it enters, you create a white human soldier token. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses life and you gain a life. Now that's useful. Actually, if you played those two side by side, that's actually pretty good. You sacrifice the creature, everyone loses life, you gain a life, but you also lose a life, so you're net 0 and you draw a card. That's pretty good. Mill 4 cards. You may put a permanent card from among the cards milled this way into your hand. If you control a squirrel or return a squirrel card to your hand this way, create a food token. Okay. Chatterstorm is an amazing card. I do have a copy of that. I think an older border version of that one, but we'll see. Definitely useful in this deck. Moldervine Reclamation, of course, awesome card. Poison Tip Archer, Reach and Death Touch, nice, always solid. Whenever another creature dies, each opponent... Ooh, nice. I'm really liking this. Ravenous Squirrel, I have a hollow version of this in another deck. And I love that card, and this is a great card. I might switch the hollow version out and put this in this deck just because it's squirrel deck. Skyfisher Spider? Oh, I forgot to tell you. When you sacrifice an artifact or a creature, you get to put a +1/+1 thing up, counter on this thing. And then you can pay a black, green, and 1 to sacrifice an artifact or creature, and if you do, you gain a life and draw a card. There's a lot of sacrificing in this deck. And surprisingly, a lot more card draw than I was expecting. Anyways, we got a 3/3 Reach Spider. When it enters, you can sacrifice a creature, again. Destroy target non-land permanent. That's very solid, though. And when it dies, you may gain 1 life for each creature card in your graveyard. Ooh, but if you do, you have to exile this thing. Still. Binding of the Old Gods. Destroy target non-land permanent and opponent controls. Search your library for a course card. Put it on the battlefield tapped. Creatures you control gain death touch until end of turn. Nice. Unleash the squirrels with all the death touch. Golgari Rot Farm, Jungle Hollow, Haunted Mire. I'm not surprised there's a Nested Shambler in here. I have a ton of that card. I was going to probably put a copy of that card in here anyways. Deadly Dispute, not bad. As an additional cost, you sacrifice an artifact or creature, but you draw 2 cards and get a treasure out of it. So, decent. Zulaport Cutthroat. Whenever it or another creature you control dies, each opponent loses a life, you gain a life. Always solid to see. Squirrel Sovereign. Other squirrels you control get +1/+1. Nice. Halfling Citizen. Whenever a prosperous when prosperous innkeeper enters, create a treasure token. Whenever another creature you control enters, you gain 1 life. Damn. I might have to keep that in the... I'm tempted to pull this because I am eventually... Spoilers. I build way too many decks. I have way too many ideas for decks. I'm just... Building decks is probably my favorite part of Magic, to be honest. I actually enjoy building decks more than I enjoy actually playing the game. So by the end of my time playing Magic, or at least doing this channel or whatever, I expect I'll have 100 or more decks, because I don't actually take any of my decks apart either. And I expect that I will have absolutely played 1 to 2 games per week each week from now until then. Anyways, I'm eventually building a 5-color Hobbit deck. And that actually would be really good in that deck. But right now, I think I will hang on to it and buy another one when I start really working on that deck, which is a ways off yet. When Haymire Might dies, you gain 2 life. Nice. Tireless Provisioner is awesome in this deck. Squirrel Nest. Enchant land. Enchanted land has tap, create a squirrel token. Nice. Honor Dread Leader. Trample. Ooh, squirrel. When it enters, put a +1/+1 counter on it for each other squirrel and food. Ooh, damn. Whenever another squirrel or food enters, you put another +1. Ooh, damn. He's going to be a beefy boy. Oh, I love this card. It's one of my absolute favorite instants in green and black. I only have a couple copies. Otherwise, it would be an evergreen black deck I play. Wolf Willow Haven. Enchant land. Whenever an enchanted land is tapped for mana, its controller adds an additional green. Sacrifice. Pay 4 and a green. Sacrifice it. Create a 2/2 wolf green creature token. Why would I ever want to sacrifice it just to create 1 token, especially if I can only do it on my turn? That sucks. Definitely use it for the first ability, though. Putrefied. Deece. Arcane Signet, always a pleasure. Golgari Signet, can't complain. Talisman of Resilience. I don't like taking damage to use things, but if I have to. Soul Ring. Ooh, I like the coloring and art on the Soul Ring. Skull Clamp, also a great addition to this deck. Terramorphic Spins, Path of Ancestry, Evolving Wilds, Command Tower, beautiful Command Tower. This set is so great. Tranquil Thicket, Cycling Land. Ooh, a Bazooka Bog is in this deck too. Craziness. Barren Moor, another Cycling Land, and then I think we're just getting swamps and forests at this point. And of course, our many... Really? Wait, only 3? There's got to be more than 3. That we don't care about. Are there squirrels on this side? Wow! That's insane. They only gave you 3 squirrels for all the squirreling you're making. I mean, I know you're making... Yeah, there is one thing that makes Eldrazi's. I know you're making a whole bunch of other types of tokens, don't get me wrong. But, still. That's just sad. Especially because the treasures are all the... Oh, treasures and food. Really? The food and treasures are on the squirrels. You couldn't have put the food on the back of the rats. Or the recruit... Aw, man. Well, it's a good thing I have lots of other tokens. Alright. Definitely still very happy about my deck choice here. Very excited to upgrade this deck. Probably working on that this weekend while I have the holiday. Who knows? If I get really, 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 really eager today, maybe there'll be a double feature tomorrow. Not making that promise. Not making that promise. Chances are very slim that's going to happen. And to be honest, I would probably save this for another deck video on a Sunday. But if this video gets, say, 100 views and 20 likes, I could probably pull it off. In the meantime, we have our bonus collector booster. 2 cards. Praying for a Liliana. Praying for a Liliana. Can the card gods bless us with a Squirrel Liliana? I'll leave that on there while I flip this over. Oh, Squirrel Liliana. I think they're just teasing me now. But, let's see. We get... Ooh, Bello, Bard of the Brambles. I think I have a couple copies of him already, but I don't have a full art one. That is the Raccoon Commander. I might build a Raccoon deck eventually. It isn't the highest priority for me, but having so definitely is an encouraging thing to do it. And... Starforged Sword. That I'm disappointed to see. It's nice that it's flying, gives fly. No, it actually takes away flying, doesn't it? Yeah, you lose flying. When it enters, if a gift was promised, you get to attach it to target creature you control without having to pay the 3, but... second half of that's very disappointing, but at least this half was really good. I do want to build that commander eventually. And I don't know if I had that legendary or not, to be perfectly honest. Definitely didn't have a full art version of it, though. Alright. I hope you've enjoyed this random video on the Saturday, whatever the heck it is. For me, this was just an opportunity to do some Bloomburrow stuff, since I'm also doing a Bloomburrow deck tomorrow. And cute creatures are spring, cute creatures are Easter, and I am super pumped to, get into my content tomorrow with you guys. So in the meantime, much love to you all from me. You take care, and